And one thing that I think is important, once again, to go over just a little bit is how the atonement of the Messiah, in one way, is similar to that of the Torah giving on Mount Sinai to the Jews. Okay? And then if you look at the last page where you have that drawing, which is represented up here on this board, if you have that, I'll just point out a few things to you before we proceed so you might have a better understanding of what it is that I'm going to say. Hopefully you don't find this drawing too complicated. Like all of my diagrams or my drawings, I could get them way too full of stuff where you can't read or make any sense of them. But hopefully in this one, you will follow me in my thoughts. We'll start down here with this little bump. This little bump down here, I'm going to call that Mount Eden. That's the garden. So at the garden, after the fall having to do with the knowledge of good and evil, right? After the fall, there was a revelation by God that was given to Adam and to Eve. And the revelation was to help Adam to deal with this newfound understanding of the knowledge of good and evil. So there was a revelation at the time of the garden that God expounded upon or revealed to creation, not only to Adam and Eve, but primarily to Adam and Eve. And in that revelation, He set the perimeters, down here, these two little lines that are on your drawing, He set the perimeters of what I will call sin and holiness. He set a perimeter. And dealing with sin and holiness, He instituted the animal blood atonement. Did He not? It was not at Mount Sinai that the Lord had introduced the blood atonement sacrifice, but it was at the garden. He reintroduced it on a bigger corporate scale on Mount Sinai, but in actuality, to deal with sin and holiness, He instituted it at the Garden of Eden. So in the revelation of the Garden of Eden, we find an atonement, at least a partial atonement, a restoration back from where Adam had cut himself off without any recourse, without any further intimate relationship with God through the fall. And then we find God instituting this revelation that allowed for sin and helped toward holiness. Right? Are you following me? Okay. So then next we find in the course of history, as time has went on, we found a new revelation. We find that revelation of Mount Sinai, the one that we are most familiar with, we've been taught so much about. And that Mount Sinai revelation grows in proportion to the garden revelation, and in that God brings forth more Torah, more instruction, more word. If you will, a mirror of Himself, a reflection of His nature. He brings forth more. And then He expands that ground from the revealing of sin and the revealing of holiness. He expands that ground to a broader area which then the Israelites, to obtain unto holiness and be a light or a beacon unto the rest of the world, would have to stay within the perimeters of what it is that God established on Mount Sinai. Are you with me? So we see a growth in the giving of the Torah. When we say the giving of the law or the giving of the Torah is synonymous. So what we should understand is we have the revelation, that the revelation sets the diametrics. The revelation sets the diametrics. Diametric meaning showing at least two different opposite things, one from another. So the diametrics has to do with the revelation. So if I draw a line, that's where we get the word diameter. If I draw a line, that sets the diametrics. This is holiness, this is sin. And when God revealed in the garden the diametrics between sin and holiness, it was a short span. It was a tight span. But when He later at Mount Sinai revealed more of the Torah, more of Him, more of holiness, more of sin, you didn't know that it wasn't right to cook the mother with the child, did you? Until God expanded in the Torah, or that you should not remove a bird from its nest. I mean, God expanded your understanding of Torah, meaning that which makes one holy and that which makes one sinful. So the diametrics were expanded. And then finally in the drawing we see how exponentially that the mount that the revelation of the Messiah Yeshua was revealed upon was that mount in heaven, Mount Zion, where we had the last revealing and expanding of the Torah on Mount Sinai. Today, presently, we have a different setting of the diametrics, which further expand the arena of holiness as opposed to sin. Much broader even than that was brought forth by all the sages of the world who studied Torah. Because you but have to read Matthew chapter 5 where you say, you have heard it said, it is written, but I say. When you just look at the back and the forth of the new diametrics that are brought out by the Messiah, you see the greater Torah, the greater expanse and the definition between sin and holiness. Now to the point, as Paul describes in Romans 7:13, that we have not only the revelation of sin, but we have the revelation of the exceeding sinfulness of sin. Okay? So the diametrics of that would be something way further down the road in holiness than what was attained or understood from the garden or Mount Sinai. Are you with me?